Life is pretty full of trade-offs. So trade-offs are basically when you give up something to have something else. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the production possibilities frontier, otherwise known as the production possibilities curve. And economists basically use this production possibilities curve to illustrate the trade-offs facing an economy that only produces two goods. Obviously, this is an oversimplified version of a real economy which produces many, many goods, but it allows us to look at concepts such as opportunity cost and economic growth. So, let's take a look at the production possibilities curve for an economy that produces, let's say, pencils and erasers. So take a look at this. If you produce 50 pencils, notice you'll produce 0 erasers in this economy, and if you produce 30 erasers, you'll produce 0 pencils. So basically this curve will show you if you produce this many erasers, how many pencils do you produce, and obviously this curve can be made to suit any kinds of goods. But you could also produce 18 erasers and 20 pencils, or you could produce 15 erasers and 25 pencils. So let's say we call this point A and this point B. So if we move from point A to point B, we move from producing 15 erasers and 25 pencils to producing 18 erasers and 20 pencils. So this kind of allows us to look at the opportunity cost. So by producing 3 more erasers, we're producing 5 less pencils. So we can look at this. The opportunity cost of 3 erasers is 5 pencils. Now the opportunity cost is what you must be given up, like what you must give up to produce a good. So in this case, the opportunity cost of producing these 3 erasers, you're going to give up 5 pencils. Now this can be simplified a little bit, which we often look at. So you can divide both sides of this by 3, and now you could say the opportunity cost of producing 1 eraser is 5 over 3 pencils. And you can look at this the other way around too. So if we divide both sides by 5, we can say the opportunity cost of producing 1 pencil is 3 over 5 erasers. Now, notice right now this production possibilities curve I've drawn here is a straight line. But so the opportunity costs are pretty constant throughout this whole thing. Well, they are constant. But production possibilities curves in general aren't straight lines because of what we call the law of increasing opportunity cost. So if this law is applied, the production possibilities curve is, well, it's curved. So you'll notice that as you try to produce more and more of one good, the opportunity cost of producing that good will get higher and higher. So think of it like this. Let's look at another production possibilities curve. So let's say we have an economy producing corn and wheat. So when you first begin growing the corn crops, the corn can be planted in places unsuitable for growing other plants, like where the climate is perfect for corn growing, but perhaps it's not as good for wheat growing. So the opportunity cost is low because you wouldn't be able to produce as much wheat on those fields anyway. However, as we try to produce more corn, you're going to have to go into land that perhaps is ideal for producing wheat and not corn. So the opportunity costs will get higher because you're giving up more and more wheat as this land is better for wheat and perhaps it's not producing as much corn. So this production possibilities curve would be curved and it would look something like this. So notice, as we go from producing little corn, as we first start producing from little corn, the slope is very high because the opportunity cost of wheat is pretty low here and you're producing a lot more corn. But as you get over here, the curve kind of levels off a little bit because the opportunity cost gets much higher. So the opportunity cost is more wheat. I also want you to notice that the production possibilities curve is very efficient. So every point on the curve is when the economy is producing at its maximum efficiency, meaning that there's no mixed opportunities or missed opportunities. So the economy could also produce at points under the curve, let's say like C, and perhaps this means that they're producing 10 erasers and let's say like 12 pencils or something like this, but this is not at the economy's maximum efficiency. Now, the last topic I want to talk about is economic growth. So economic growth just means an expansion of the economy's production possibilities curve. So basically what this would look like is the curve would shift outwards. So if we go to our corn and wheat economy, the curve would just everywhere shift outwards like this. And you could draw it like this as so basically the economy can just produce a lot more. So there are two ways an economy can experience economic growth, and these ways are through increases in labor, land, and capital. So let's look at this again. So if you have more land, your economy can obviously produce more corn and more wheat. If you have more labor, perhaps you have more workers, and of course you can produce more of anything. So the next source of growth is progress in technology. So let's say that instead of harvesting the corn by hand, you can now harvest the corn by new technology and machinery. So now you can harvest more corn, and let's say there's new machinery for wheat too. So this new technology allows you to harvest more corn and more wheat. So basically your production possibilities curve will shift outwards, and you can produce more. The economy can just produce more as a whole. That's it for this video. In the next video I'll discuss more about trading.